We are heading to the suburbs of Philadelphia.
You're going to a place that is the whole ballgame for Democrats.
The power is in your hands, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania elects presidents, and Pennsylvania knows President Biden.
You know, we know Pennsylvania is going to be a battleground state this November.
This is total Trump country. Trump won about 2/3 of the vote in both 2016 and 2020 in this county.
Pennsylvania is incredibly important to President Trump.
It's common to hear about immigration, without a doubt.
They're worried about inflation overall, but like women's reproductive rights is still a huge one.
We will restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land.
We're going to make Pennsylvania rich again. We're bringing back our jobs.
A candidate has not won the election without winning Pennsylvania since 2004.
I think it's really regarded as a must-win.
All right, now we're on our way to a local GOP meeting in Westmoreland County. Westmoreland County is just outside Pittsburgh, and it is Trump country. Trump won about 2/3 of the vote in 2016 and 2020 in this county, and he got similar margins in nearby counties that surround Pittsburgh, where the economy revolves around manufacturing and energy and farming. And that helped Trump run up the score to win the state in 2016. Even though Trump's support in western Pennsylvania largely held in 2020, Trump lost the state as Biden picked up huge vote tallies in the populated southeastern part of Pennsylvania. And some of Trump's supporters say a big reason why is because they say Democrats capitalized on a new law allowing for mail-in voting, a law that was actually passed by Pennsylvania Republicans.
The president has made mail-in ballots the center of his effort to cast doubt on the integrity of the election.
As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster.
We've heard that these meetings can get pretty heated, and that some people are still talking about unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud, so we came to observe.
We have to get these mail-in ballots cut. We really do.
You have to change the Constitution to do that, and in order to do that, you'd have to win. So that's the goal.
But there was a mail-in ballot amendment that if you get a mail-in ballot and you don't want it anymore, and I did fight to get this done, that you could take it to your polling precinct and have it voided, sign in the register book, and then go on the machine. That was to protect the person. Who went into that machine and registered that person without their knowledge or permission? Why didn't we do a forensic investigation on these machines?
Right now, we're in litigation. We're waiting for a judge, Leskinen in Fayette County, to make the announcement. We have, based on mail-in ballots last year in the May primary and the November primary, questionable. They can't properly reconcile the mail-in ballots and the elections. The numbers don't match. So we've been certifying elections that haven't been reconciled, but both parties are saying, oh, they're reconciled. What do you mean? We're doing it. So that's why we have to take them to the courts and hold their feet to the fire.
Hey Sean, it's Shelby.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm good.
This meeting that we went to in Westmoreland County, I think I see what you mean about the divides in the party. There were MAGA, Trump, Women for Trump type of people who are running for Trump delegate.
Do you remember the lady's name?
One is Melanie and one is Susanna. What I thought was so interesting was they dominated the meeting, and the conversation always went back to like voter fraud and lawsuits and poll watching. Is that sort of what you mean? Like there's a divide in that some people want to focus on talking to voters and some people want to get out the vote and all of that, and then some people just want to relitigate?
Yes, that's absolutely true. And people like those two are a cancer in the party. Because they don't care about winning and losing. It's absolutely bizarre.
How hard do you think it's going to be to unify the party?
I don't think the party can be unified.
Can it win if it's not unified?
Yes, because winning begets more winning. So once we win one race, and then two races, and then three races, then the Patriot wing doesn't really have a leg to stand on. All they can do is complain.
We reached out for comment, and Melanie said she's passionate about her politics and that intra-party squabbles come with the territory of running for delegate. Susanna stands by her comments and says she feels disenfranchised by the system.
10, 12. Oh, I didn't want to pass this one.
So how many doors can you knock in a day?
I can knock 100 doors easy in a day.
Probably around 1,000 from the beginning of the year till now, yeah.
Okay.
Do you feel like Republicans and President Trump have a decent chance at flipping Pennsylvania?
I do. Yeah, I'm optimistic. Hi, how are you? I'm Jill Cooper. People definitely want a correction.
Back up the hill?
Yep, back up the hill on the other side. They want a correction when it comes to inflation. They want a correction when it comes to immigration. They want a correction when it comes to what their kids are being taught in school.
Do people talk to you about national politics?
People are worried about immigration. They're worried about inflation overall, but like women's reproductive rights is still a huge one.
Do you feel like that is an animating issue that will get voters to the polls?
I do, because we saw it last year.
You can really feel on the ground that people feel and believe that their votes matter. This is such a critical swing state.
Yeah, I think people are aware of that. The thing about Pennsylvania is that the vote has been so close. It's just a matter of thousands of votes. They're not going to take any for granted.
Let's talk about mail-in ballots.
Yeah, I think mail-ins are going to be significant. It was a huge advantage for Democrats. You know, traditionally Republicans have not used mail-in balloting as much. And, you know, President Trump really has never stopped railing against the practice.
Mail-in voting will still be part of the next presidential election. Hi, Caroline. So I asked Trump's press secretary about that.
It would be ideal for every state to have a 1 day of voting, paper ballots only, but we know that's not the rules of the game we're given, and we need to play with the cards we're dealt.
It sounds like the Trump campaign is embracing mail-in ballots.
Yes, we want voters to play by the rules of the game in their respective states.
And I'm starting to hear this phrase, too big to rig.
We have to win so that it's too big to rig.
What is too big to rig? How many votes?
Millions and millions of Americans casting their ballot for President Trump.
What kind of messaging will actually motivate people to get off their couch and to the poll, or off their couch into their mailbox?
Inflation and immigration are the two issues on the top of voters' minds in every single state across this country.
We spoke with the Trump campaign yesterday. They say they are on offense everywhere. Does the Biden campaign feel like Pennsylvania is Biden's to lose?
We're playing to win, and straight up, Pennsylvania elects presidents, and Pennsylvania knows President Biden.
You have a playbook from 2020.
Mm-hmm.
What was successful in 2020 that the campaign is doubling down on in 2024?
Yeah, well, we're starting early and often. Pennsylvania is always close, but we know that this election is a choice between somebody who is fighting for the soul of this nation and somebody who wants to take us backwards.
Polls are showing that President Biden is underperforming among minority and young voters. Is that sending alarm bells through the campaign?
Absolutely not. We know that polls are a snapshot in time, and we don't ride the roller coaster here in Pennsylvania. And we know that Pennsylvanians know Joe Biden and are excited to reelect him.
President Joe Biden is losing support from key groups who turned out for him in 2020.
Wherever you look, the president has cracks, or worse, in his base.
Some Democrats are advocating for voters to vote against President Biden.
President Biden is taking his message on the road, and he is going to the suburbs of Philadelphia. Philadelphia County, where there are a lot of minority voters, has always been important to Democrats, but Biden actually lost ground there in 2020. However, the so-called collar counties that surround Philly were a huge reason Biden was able to flip the state back in 2020. Not only was there a surge in turnout in these populated counties, but Biden's margins expanded by several points in each one.
Are you in the car now?
I'm in the car.
You're going to a place that is the whole ballgame for Democrats, and especially because Philadelphia is uncertain, is kind of fading in its power, it seems. You're going to a place where Democrats really need to turn up.
It's not accidental that Biden is here today. Delaware County, we are the middle of what's the most important state, I think.
How are you? Good. It's fun to be back on the trail. Is this event the sign that the Philly Burbs could very much win this election?
Yeah.
Win or lose?
Southeastern Pennsylvania is going to be key to this election. And I think that the biggest issue in the college is going to be the issue of choice. We know that women in suburbs outnumber men, and that's the biggest motivating factor for them.
The First Lady's from Philly. Is that an advantage? Like, Will she be campaigning as well?
Yes, I mean, I think Philadelphians love Philadelphians.
We must meet this moment as if our rights are at stake, because they are.
Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women in America.